I can only assume that whoever was in charge at that point really thought that the audience wouldn't get who this person is.
I
That
mean,
they needed they needed some context to what Mersh is.
think about it this way. Baked Alaska is the name of a dessert treat. That could be very confusing to somebody coming across that title. But at
It's
no
a dessert
point.
treat talking to a toilet. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Which, by the way, I'm sure that exact scenario has happened inside of Mersh's apartment.
Well, I'll go on to question number 21. And it's another question that's phrased in exactly the same way as the two previous, but it's what is the Mersh effect?
So the Mersh effect is something that I have detailed in quite a bit. I have gone over this in great detail, but it is not my original phrasing. I didn't come up with the term. It was just this thing that everybody who watches, who hate watches Mersh or whatever you want to call it, could sense, and we never put to words before. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't remember who came up with the name, but essentially it was used to describe the pyramid scheme that Mersh of loyalty that Mersh uses in order to coerce people into showing him respect and giving him views in exchange.
Yeah, and I think that it's amazing how it extends as well, because it's also you look at the obvious candidates for some of the lower rungs on the of the pyramid, some of the lower tiers. I think there is a level of capos when you're looking at the Verges and the Adonis Pauls, and I think that also I can't help but think that Dick Masterson and Ethan Ralph are involved in it in some way, or if they're not involved strictly in the Mersh effect, they're involved in some other cabal.
This is Mersh's scheme. It's sort of a cult leadery scheme. It's sort of that sort of thing. You and I scheme were an attempt at being a part of the Mersh effect, and I don't think either of us knew it at the time. And I think at a certain point, both of us independently scheme figured it out, and while we didn't have a term for it, then we both went, oh god, good thing we've severed that relationship, that was gay.
A few moments later,
the Mersh effect is not like some grand thought out scheme or anything. Essentially it was used to describe the pyramid scheme that Mersh of loyalty that Mersh uses in order to coerce people into showing him respect and giving him views in exchange. The Mersh effect is not like some grand thought out scheme or anything.
Well, I don't know. I think that I think there is a level of capos when you're looking at the Verges and the Adonis Pauls, and I think that also I can't help but think that Dick Masterson and Ethan Ralph are involved in it in some way, or if they're not involved strictly in the Mersh effect, they're involved in some other cabal.
The Mersh effect is not like some grand thought out scheme or anything, although I think at this point he's got it down pat and he does understand it, but it's just, hey man, I did you a favor, you owe me. Essentially it was used to describe the pyramid scheme that Mersh of loyalty that Mersh uses in order to coerce people into showing him respect and giving him views in exchange.
Right. Hey everyone, hope you had a great weekend. Today I want to start introducing the concept of effective leadership. And I want to talk about two distinct leadership styles. So if you are in a position where you are in charge of or leading a group of others, I want you to look at what type of leadership you're performing. So on one side, we have fear-based leadership or tyranny, where you are belittling others or you're striking fear in those who work underneath you. They're afraid to make mistakes because they don't want to upset you. They don't want to incur that wrath. And there are a lot of people who do lead with this style. Or on the other side, there's a respect-based leadership where you're empowering those underneath you, where you're giving them the autonomy to make their own decisions and make their own mistakes, and where you're driving transparency so that mistakes and successes are discussed openly from both top down and bottom up. I urge you to think about driving forward with a respect-based leadership if you're in a leadership position.
I'm talking about practicing good character. When you practice good character, you run into a lot of good people. You know, if you're talking about job structure, if you put into a position of power, it is better to have your employees love you than to fear you. If they fear you, they're going to work together against you and destroy you. But if they love you, they're going to work together with you, for you. So make sure you spread love, not fear. We got to reevaluate our ideas about respect. Respect is first given, then received. But it's getting it through fear, it only gonna last so long. And especially when you're dealing with business, you know, it is better to make friends than it is to make enemies. Once that bridge is burned, somebody ain't gonna be able to get across. So, get your respect the right way. Peace.